In the Mems, Vad Rabbi Lubavitch had an idea that they would collect all the letters of the Rebbe that have to do with Rabanus, different inyonim for Rabbonim, and different things that have to do with Rabanus, and print all these letters in a separate Sefer or a separate Kuntras, and give it out as a Sefer of the Rebbe's letters concerning Rabanus. And they asked the Rebbe, and this is what the Rebbe answered. I'm going to read it and translate it. The Rebbe wrote like this: Be'im yimotzei hamasim, if you will find, and the word yimotzei, the Rebbe wrote nekudis, a chirik under the yud, a comments under the mem, and a tzere under the tzadik, which means be'im yimotzei hamasim, if you will, it'll be found, somebody who's fit to this job. Ubar samche, and a reliable person, and the word samche was underlined, la'achrayes, for the responsibility. And what's the responsibility here? That even though these letters were written to different places and at complete different times as it is now, and the word mida'ato was also with nekudis, a chirik under the mem, a shvo under the dalet, a patach under the ayin, and comments under the sof, which means mida'ato from now, and dash, the kol zeh tia tiel is bepirsumum, and this person thinks, and it still will be a te'elis, a benefit, by publicizing these letters. Va'al koponim lo yazik, and at least it will not harm, dash, then the Rebbe says, Yad Fisa, you should print it. Be'im sofik, if there is a doubt if this will be so, dash, shev va'al taise. So stay back and don't do, and the Rebbe underlined the word taisa, which means al taisa. And then in brackets, the Rebbe wrote, Bavoren nishal dvar zeh behagdome, to bavoren this in the hagdome, that this is in different times, etc., ein dash ein meilo, does not help, dash, ki ein somim leiv la'hagdome skeilo, because people don't pay attention to such introductions. The bottom line that Rebbe was saying here is that these letters were written different places to different times, but mainly the situation changes, and you can't learn from those times to this time. Things change. So the only way the Rebbe is masking, if the person will take responsibility and he's a reliable person, to make sure that he'll print these letters in a way that people will realize that you can't learn from it, because not always is the same thing. And at least that won't do any harm, then print it. But if there's a suffix, don't do it. And to bavoren, to write in the Hagdama that this is the idea, you can't learn from these two other times, is not enough. People don't pay attention to these introductions. So the Rebbe gave a clear thing, and since the Rebbe made it pretty clear that it's a big, so to speak, danger to print it, make such a Sefer, so therefore the Hachlota, the decision of Rabbi Leibel Schapiro, was not to print the Sefer. But there was a Hatzoah not to print all these letters in the Sefer, but at least to make a list of Mara Mekaymes, of a Mifteach, of an index where you could find letters dealing with Rabanus. So someone wants to look into something that has to do with a certain thing, you could look in and then decide, but that's totally, when you look it up, it's not giving it out to everybody, that every person will make his own decision, take his own hachlotas from these letters. That they asked the Rebbe if that we could do, and the Rebbe agreed, and therefore there was printed then a page or a few pages of Mifteach, of where we find letters about Rabanus. But to print the letters themselves in a special volume or a special in the Kuntras in itself, that the Rebbe wrote is not so simple, and it was not printed.